Come on, I said, so you should be the loudest ones. Good evening. Thank you. Thank you, first and foremost, on behalf of the Georgia Executive Board, Governing Board, I want to say welcome. Thank you for coming out. This is going to be the first many opportunities for truth and transparency that you'll get from the Northern. It's going to be esteemed administrators and opportunity for an exchange, collaboration, the first of many opportunities to have an exchange. Our residents, our community. First, I'd like to thank Beyond Housing and the 24-1 Municipal Partnership for assisting us with and the 24-1. Thank you to the Northern for the information to you tonight that will be informed. Because if we didn't answer your questions tonight, and if you don't have an answer tonight, we'll find an answer. Because we are very focused on ensuring that Northern is on the path to one nation, but excellence that we're so accustomed to. 100-year anniversary of the morning. So again, on behalf of the board, our staff and our teachers, thank you for coming, and please give us your questions, participate, because we can only get better. The only way we can get better is with participation in the sport. So welcome and thank you. I will turn it over to Mr. Chris.
Real quick, this is just a housekeeping. Restrooms back to that door back there. That's right there, right to your right. And then here's kind of the run-up show. Cars that you got when you walk in, if you want to put your question in the car, do that. Gather it, and if you get an answer, or you can just raise your hand and we'll walk around with the mic to get it. It's an interactive proposition you're sending. So we have Beyond Housing, thrilled to be a partner with the school district for all these many years, and look forward to continue forward. It is now my pleasure to introduce the leader of the Normandy Schools Collaborative. The large shoulders that will carry us to full accreditation and excellence Education School District. Please perform our applause to Dr. Michael Triplett.
Good evening. Good evening. So, time. And now I'm giving the school district report. So time. So let me thank the board. And then the school officials who are in attendance and the community. I want to thank you for coming out to hear about the happenings of the school district. Our school district currently is in the state of rebuilding, and we're in the process of doing all that we can do and need to do. We want to rebuild that building. The district currently has 5 strategic priorities.
one, engaging environment. Two, college readiness, teaching and learning. Three, recruiting top talent. Ships, and 5, 21st century learning organizations. Our current enrollment is 2,920 students. We have 2,306 students who are doing 443 who are special 71 students who are growing exponentially. So we're in the process of looking at hiring additional staff to assist that population of students. So who are our students? We have 2,920 students. 2,624 of them African American, 176 are Hispanic, 73 are multiracial, 41 American Indian, and we have defined. That gender split tips slightly in the scale of male. We have 1,535 male and 1,385. So how do we measure up in other districts? If you recall earlier this year, I talked about SAT as it relates to the surrounding 4 state school districts, where we said we were dead last. To be unaccredited, that score has to be 49.9%. We are currently at 55.6%. That's the instruction on that path. So there are some things that contributed to student outcomes, in my opinion. When I initially entered the district, there are many things I found through my house. One of those things was I just allowed to put the list of them. There was a disconnect in relationships between not only Normandy itself, but Normandy surrounding municipalities, community partnerships, parents, etc. No structure. Our evaluation system was really not used to the best way it should be used. There was almost no accountability in the district. Although there was a evaluation system usually it was like there was a disconnect between what the district and the district's strategic plan. So the district's strategic plan is not really a living document. For student performance is lower. There were no internal controls on our finance department. We had AP course offerings, solid continuous improvement plan. The continue, although we had a instructional curriculum, we had programming. They weren't programming that well. We weren't programming that really implemented fidelity and benefits. Where it's social climate, organization structure, accountability, evaluation system, budget finance, academic practices, and staff. So what are we doing about that? We're looking at all our departments to make a change. What we're doing with this one is we're really focusing on commercial climate. We establish those relationships with all the community departments and all of the schools, because there's a huge disconnect between staff, and so we're rebuilding those relationships. We're rebranding the district, and so I brought some of my department heads here. We will talk to you in great detail around the things that they're doing in the department to affect the school district. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Brooks, who is our CFO, our new CFO, who's in charge of bringing about change and dealing with the finance department.
Thank you, Dr. Crippin. And it's great to be before you, great and fine people. I'm actually a returnee. I had worked in the district for 20 years ago as the district's comptroller. I see a former board. See Red Days in the audience as well. Serving this great community. Dr. Triplett has mentioned we've got some major initiatives on board that we need to address. And I'm blessed to be able to work in our finance and services department. I just wanted to give you basically a financial update on how the district is doing financially year to date. Over November. That's our savings account that roughly makes up about 40% fund reserve or balance. In our specific, what we call operating fund, which is in our teachers and our general and incidental funds, we have roughly $14 million in savings in those accounts. This is roughly 27.3% fund reserve. That's pretty strong and solid at this point because the state basically requires a 3% operating fund reserve to avoid being recognized as a distressed district, and so we're like 9 times above that currently. In the next month or so, we'll see a decline in that fund reserve because we spent through again this month in January. We received the bulk of our finances from local revenue receipts. We'll have about $18 to $20 million next, basically an assessed value tax assessment. On the other hand, looking at our expenditures have been up a bit. Revenues have actually collected $1 million in revenue so far. We have expenditures that we have spent out in the form of salaries, benefits, etc., totaling about $20.6 million through the end of October 2023. And this is up in comparison with this time last year, October. Basically, it only spent about $16.6 million in expenditures. Difference, but we are still strong. Again, as I mentioned to you earlier, our operating fund reserves are 27.33%. We're doing well. So we basically been spending down beginning in December this month and January in property tax assessments that will drive our fund reserves up substantially. I had a pie chart here that I wanted to kind of basically spell out for you in our budget. Basically have a budget that revenues our expenditures are budgeted about $67 million. So we're driving down, we're projecting that in our budget, we're going to drive our reserves or savings slightly. But with our revenues, basically, second largest revenue category is our state funding. That's on our classroom trust fund and foundation formula monies that come in, transportation, aid, etc. Those funds come in. Our third major revenue category is our pilot funds. We've had some ESSER stimulus funding that we've been receiving, and so that's our third largest category of revenues. And finally, it's a very small amount. It comes in from our county collections on fines and forfeitures, etc. On the expenditure side, our largest expenditure categories turn out to be, of course, our salaries. So in order to fund the quality schools and system that we want to run, as Dr. Triplett has defined, we know we've got to pay our teachers and our staff. We've got some positive things going in. In fact, we're giving staff, returning teachers and personnel that were on our payroll at return, we're giving them all $1,250 So that's really the largest category of our expenditure budget is basically paid out to our personnel. We also have, of course, a category with benefits. And so roughly 13% of pertains or goes to our staff in the form of benefits. That's basically our health insurance packages. We pretty much fund our staff members the full entire health care package. That's also retirement costs going in. Dental, so we have some benefits that we pay out to all of our personnel. Additionally, we have other major categories as far as our purchase services. That's in the form of our professional development, travel, repair costs, etc. That's another major category at about 17%. And then finally, the other large category would be our equipment, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. In getting our buildings up to code, and because we know that academically, for our students to do well, we need to have nice facilities. We'll talk a little bit with our property construction. And so those are the major categories. The pie charts, I apologize if it's hard to see some of the colors. We were trying to give you a little bit of depth to pizzazz things up. But basically, that's what makes up our expenditure budget. I do want to say this, even though the district's financial position currently is solid, currently the district faces a financial cliff that's we'll be looking at in another year or two, because over the last year or two, we've received what we call ESSER funding. So that's educationally, that's monies that are coming up in stimulus funding from the federal government during the COVID period. So we have received funds in the form of ESSER 1, 2, and 3, but ESSER 3, those funds will end next year. Come September of 2020, the ESSER funding goes away, and so we won't have those funds. Revenues must shoot. We'll see a decline in our revenues to some extent, and so we are preparing for that. So that cliff where revenues will be coming down, we still want to pay our personnel well. We want to be competitive with the salaries that we pay our personnel. And so that is a challenge. Additionally, we are, as Dr. Triplett mentioned, we have roughly about 2,900 students. We want, okay, because we're paid statewide on the foundation formula and on our weighted average daily attendance numbers, which are students in our classrooms attending on a daily basis. We need those numbers. We need that average daily attendance to be at over 90%. And we're doing well with that, but we want those numbers to stay strong. As a result of these things. And so those are things that we want to point out. In conclusion, we want to say a couple of things about property. And we have the community, you all supported a tremendous effort, a $26.5 million Prop B initiative for the construction of our high school spaces and putting in new spaces as well. We have a connector unit that is brand new and spanking new. It's a wonderful thing. If you ever been at the high school recently, we would encourage you to schedule it for. We would love our facilities group to get you by there to take a walk through the facilities. We've got a lot of great things going on. That work is near completion. The work will be basically the pieces have been completed. We're still working on Central Hall. We got some work to do, but that is targeted to be completed by May of next year, 2024. Our construction manager and supporter will be on site at next Wednesday's board meeting to address the Prop B more fully. This time I'm going to turn the mic back over to Dr. Triplett.
Thank you. A couple of critical hires we made in the business. And we hired a federal program. Some good things for the district. currently we save about $2 million with putting internal controls and idling non-valued positions that were in the district. With regards to curriculum instruction, we're doing a lot of last year. We didn't participate in CTE offers, so we lost those partnerships. This year we reestablished those partnerships. We currently have about 317 students who are participating. We have students who are participating, will be participating. This time I was trying just a data point. Our students reach third grade. We have about 78% of our kids who are deficit reading. That's it. One of our biggest initiatives this year. Our K-1, 2 students with certified teachers, and really how we provide services for their class, so that our kids walk into the third grade already. This time I'm trying to read.
Hey everyone, to the community and all stakeholders. We like to call ourselves the heart and soul. Our role is very important, and our role is to provide sound curricula at each of our schools, strong instructional programming at each of our schools, and careful, thoughtful data analysis around our assessments. What you see here is our two assessments. They are benchmark assessments, iReady and Edmentum, that are administered to our kindergarten through 12th graders. These assessments are, they basically show us the amount of growth that is necessary to ensure that each of our students. It also allows us to inform instruction because it details and identifies those skills and concepts that our students need to obtain in order to meet grade level equivalency. Okay? So what we see here is a comparable data analysis. We administer these assessments in the fall, the winter, our beginning of the year assessments. We implemented this assessment or administered this assessment at the very beginning of the year. So what you see is fall 2022. You don't see much difference here, but I do want to draw your attention to indicators. If our students are entering into their current grade level at 2 or more years, means is that there are skills and concepts that must be taught that are below their chronological grade level. Okay? And once those skills are taught and mastered, then those students are ready for grade level instruction. If you see a student at 1 year below, that essentially means that they are ready, because this is at the very beginning of the school year. So they haven't had any grade level instruction at that time. So those students that are identified at 1 grade level below are ready for grade level instruction. It runs the same way for Edmentum for our high school students, although the indicators are more of a proficiency level, so you'll see below basic, proficient. Edmentum at our high school allow us to see what prerequisite skills and concepts students need to know in order to master the core content areas. What you see here is our grade level. So our incoming third graders, we had about 32% of our third graders who were 2 years below. Okay. About 38% of our third graders were grade levels below. So in response to this data, we have initiated and launched our K2 literacy initiative. And this is where we stop the bleeding. It is our goal, and we are committed to ensuring that our third graders are ready for third grade reading instruction at the beginning of the school year. So we are closing the gap early, paying particular attention to our kindergartners, our first and our second graders for ready reading, ready. So the major action steps that we're employing, each of our campuses have a K-2 literacy school-based improvement plan at each of our campuses. We're implementing a high-quality, Dr. Triplett mentioned that we have a new curriculum in place. It is evidence-based and research-based, so those curricula is being implemented at each of our grade levels. We're providing our teachers and staff with ongoing high-quality professional development. We are assessing our students, again, at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the school year. We're also implementing our reading success plans. The state has indicated which students are identified, which students must have a reading success plan. Those plans have been shared with our parents and our families. We have benchmarks, interim benchmarks. I mentioned that we administer our ready at the beginning, the middle year. However, we have interim assessments where we progress. Again, we collaborate with our families around those success plans, so we want to make sure that we're in communication, constant communication with our families around the success. And we also have collaborated with initiative along the Solution Tree and other external partnerships to ensure that our staff are well equipped to implement and deliver very rigorous K2. So looking at the full scope of our instructional programming, again, we adopted evidence-based curricular resources. We have developed pacing guides that are aligned to standards. We're paying careful attention to those priorities, making sure that our teachers have enough time to really dig deep to ensure that our students are reading within those standards. We have implemented block scheduling at our high school and in our middle school. And we also have what we call Block B. This is where our students are receiving intensive attention. So those prerequisite skills that have not yet been mastered, those students will have opportunities to engage in instruction that will close the gap during that Block B time. We have developed our where we track our priority standards. And so we gauge the progress of our students by implementing a post-test. Our teachers engage in collaboration around instructional strategies. They do integration lessons to ensure that they are very sound instructional strategies prior to going into the classroom. Our principals will be, we actually have one coming up where they will be presenting what we call data consults. So we want to make sure what the data is telling us and how we are responding to the data. So what action steps, specific action steps, are they engaging staff in to ensure that there are proficiency at all levels? We have a very rigorous observation protocol and our culture climate. So our principal at least 10 observations per week, providing feedback to teachers on an ongoing basis, shift practices and behaviors. We are also partnering with Solution Tree coaches that work with our principals and work with our and help develop action steps and then And we also implement coaching for our long-term substitutes. We treat them as you would treat any educator in our district. So they are responsible for participating in all of our PLC processes, all instructional structures that we have in place. Dr. Triplett also mentioned that we have restored our dual enrollment, our CTE, and our advanced placement. Have sophomores that are actually level, so they will receive college credit while obtaining their high school diploma. We have students that are participating at North County Tech, where they are learning dental sciences, automotive technology, construction innovation. So these are courses that combine academic and professional skills. We restored our AP classes. We have credit for those courses as well. As far as our road towards accreditation. So that's just a brief summary of the area of curriculum and instruction. Again, we are very committed to achievement in North.
Thank you. And again, we think it's important that principals own it in their buildings. So in order to do that, these days, extremely important, because we want principals to let us know what they're doing about what the day says in their buildings about student performance. More importantly, teaching. That data tells us about student performance. It's not all about, it's all about teaching too. In the CNI department, we made a critical move, a critical hire, that was professional development, assessment, and data. So the district didn't have that person. I think that those duties were split up amongst the people. And that's just too much work to be split amongst the people. It needs to be more focused. So we created a position that focuses more on. So in an effort to recreate our relationships, strengthen our partnerships with the Mayor 24-1 housing, special school district, the Legacy Solution Tree, Tennessee Community College, North Tech, Washington, to name a few. Some of our really partnership, but just supporters, really strong supporters of the school district. And I really want to, and I can't describe him. He's always, there's not a time I could call him, he wasn't available. Even the last minute, but they got the last minute. But just in partnership like that is how we make this turn the school district around. And I want everyone to understand, accreditation does not happen overnight. It could be 3 or 4 years before we fully accredit. You see continuous improvement before you see that kind of growth, because you have to grow it, sustain it with that. So I hear people saying accreditation. But I do want you to say, you continue to say that, but I do want you to always say, what is continuous improvement about? Are you guys improving? That's the important piece. That's how we get to the accreditation piece. So at this time, we'll talk further about student support services. You have to, in the district such as this, you have to play people. And part of the reorganization was to make sure you have the right person in school. Partnerships and creating those relationships conducive to support students and support staff. Because staff need care as well. So with that said, we reassigned Dr. Tony Bush to head our student support service department. And,
Not tonight. Good evening, everyone. As he said, I'm in support services under our umbrella departments. We supervise a lot of different areas that are critical to our success as well. In our department, we make sure that we cover attendance. We assist with attendance cleaning it up. We also make sure that System 12, which is a student information that is updated. In addition to, in addition to, along with protects our homeless students and helps us in enrolling them. Additionally, we and within those areas, we also supervise social work. We work with secretaries, and we make sure that we work with the FELS, Family Engagement Liaisons, that are beyond housing employees of their place in schools. Some areas that we focus on, as Dr. Triplett says, we focus specifically, we're talking about beyond housing. And what those do, every partnership that we have, they have to present an MOU, and that MOU has a criteria to meet. We work with Beyond Housing to make sure that it meets that criteria. If it doesn't, we work with the wraparound partner to make sure it's right. Last year, probably prior to last year, we had quite a few MOUs that were, what is that? Quite a few are 60 MOUs that we had. Some were being paid for services that weren't being rendered. You narrowed that down to about 25 MOUs. And most of those have no cost to the district. Again, talking about our partnership with Beyond Housing, they assist us with doing that. In addition to, we create our services and again vet those wraparound partnerships. That is in place now to ensure that there's a criteria that's being met, and that criteria is reviewed mid-year and annually as well. And also, as mentioned, our family engagement liaisons are placed in all of our buildings. The bigger schools like the high school, we do have 4, and those are Beyond Housing employees. English language learners, the ELL program that's all. That is by far the fastest growing demographic that we have in the district. Right now, our formula, if you look at last year's number to this year's number, we had 96 students total last year. This year, at December 1st, we had 169. That number has changed since December 1st. So we semester, so it's quite possible that we will match that same growth for the second semester. In that in the case of Dr. Triplett mentioned, he is approved the hiring of another person that will help with translation and will help with teaching alike.
You understand, you threw it in. You threw it, it's not that, you're trying to get additional staff.
That's what we do. So, this is a good guy right here. With the two ELL personnel that he will be hiring for second semester. At the high school, we now have a school diversion program through St. Louis County Court. That means we have a DJO on campus all the time. That's very, very important. But that allows us to be proactive versus being reactive when we're having situations in the community, and they make it through the high school. Schools are just a matter of in the community. This person is able to help us, assist us in addressing these families and work with students before things get out of hand. What does this person work with? Well, practices, that's basically when we have relationships that are solid. This person is able to interject and work with both parties so that we can have a quick resolution and we can focus on learning. Also, peer mediation, where students are able to talk through different situations, especially when they're having impacting the school. Character development, conflict resolution, anger and stress management, violence prevention, crisis management. All these are areas that are very, very significant, and it's something that we talk about every day, in addition to having social workers being involved, having our fellows being involved. The DJO plays a role to make sure that, again, he contributes to the betterment of what we're doing and educating the whole child. There are other areas that we're working on. Matter of fact, we're in the process of hiring for some additional positions. We have one position that's specific to helping the engagement of our parents. We will be wrapping those in ensuring that we're doing everything we can to bridge that gap between what's happening in school and community.
Thank you. Two critical hires that we made, one is entire line coordinator. And the other person is a parent engagement specialist who schools. I really want so here, another critical hire we made was to hire a person to head our resources department to make sure we and make sure we're putting things in place to hire the best practices. Ms. Kawana Uriu currently serves as our Chief Human Resource Officer, so I'll let you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Normally, school collaborating exists to improve the skills and knowledge of the people within. While this is important, we are ultimately responsible for helping teachers, support staff, and administrators extend their impact throughout the district. We are committed to help motivate them, which will lead to them performing better in the classrooms and schools. Lead to the students getting a better learning experience. Right now, the recruitment, onboarding, and retention of talented educators and support staff is critical for the success of Northeast School Collaborative. We and the outline strategies aim to keep qualified employees, foster a positive work environment, and nurturing long-term career growth. By implementing these strategies, we aim to build a dedicated and high-performance workforce, ultimately enhancing the educational experience. Thank you.
One of the things we did to shake up HR was to make sure we had positions spoke to what we needed to do. So we took away the generalist, HR generalist title. Sure that we were getting right. Make sure all best practices. And other controls that we have in place. And so, we thought that's key. A couple of things we really want to make sure now is to make sure we sure that in your absence, can anyone pick up your playbook and run your department in your absence? That's critical. We don't need anybody, especially if we got it really well. Same thing with principals. Should they have a really solid playbook in place so that if they're absent, someone can pick their playbook up. That's critical. It's called succession. So we're not in it for the income. So one of the best ways to get out around is to people move up, people move up each time. So that's one of the charges we're trained within. And I think sometime in the spring we'll begin our aspiring administrators. It's one of the things that next is communications. I'll turn it over to Chris.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming out this evening. Opportunities to community engagement. We'll have forums planned frequently throughout the year. We also have we have allowed the community to come. Other ways of sharing your voice. This year, the school board has put on their agenda. So we encourage people to come to these meetings, take that opportunity. One of the other ways parents externally is through their firsthand concerns and the problems of what's going on. I want to go over real quick, just kind of our ways that we communicate with the community. We have digital oriented both the over the past year for the rebranding, and we have close to 2 making the stores more relevant so that we engage the community, parents, families, and weeks. Again, that was rebranded. Not only see where we're going, but see where we've been. So where we can continue this growth. So we're looking at our social media channels. We've seen an followers in Facebook and Instagram over the past year. What this doesn't show on the slide is engagement rate. Motivational memory, and those rates are increasing. One of the things that I really want to talk about is sure that we were able to capture . Or negative. Positive. So what we're learning is that if you're going to get positive stories. People want to see good things happen. The superintendent talked about also is rebranding. Our website over the past year, August, we've redesigned our website. For teenagers and families, we wanted to very quickly. So the homepage has been updated. We've added not just engage the community, but show off our district. We're very hard to update. We're updating individual web pages for the departments. One of the ones that we have web pages that's where continue rebranding our school site, which we will share so that all the websites look familiar.
So I want to thank, I see Dr. Larson out there. Yes, thank you. Make sure that hires and communication department. We call them the presidents because the first name was Kennedy, one was great. If they ever been in your office, you know they something. Especially when they're trying to get something out of it. But they're doing just a phenomenal job with, and then they're teaching Mr. Tremont, us mature folk are set with how we do things, and they just bring a different flavor with how. And additionally, we branded this seat of this season. But we want to make sure that we're putting our best feet forward with making sure we create a normality that normally. So we want to make sure we give all cylinders, make sure that happens from culture, climate, from finance, from student support, CNI, student performance. We want to make sure that we're ready, we're really a new normal, that normal is well. With that said, Mr. Trahan,
Thank you. So we've heard from some of our esteemed members of the administration. It's been interactive. Let's open the floor. Any questions?
no questions, unless only questions asked.
Yes, ma'am.
Budget, Mr. Mayor. Oh, we have a balanced budget every year. Have we had a balanced budget?
We haven't reviewed, this day, it's a great question. To define a balanced budget, that literally means revenues and expenditures basically equal to zero, or there's a slight increase. So we actually, with this year's budget, we were budgeting $6 million of revenues coming in and $67 million in expenditures coming in. $3 million deficit slightly. However, we had $37 million in savings already. So in order to strengthen the financial position and the performance of the district, again, keeping the reserves, our reserves positive, favorable, yes.
The ESSR 3 you mentioned, is that the same thing as the American Rescue Plan monies? Is that a one-time expenditure?
Yeah, great question. So that's the elementary and secondary emergency relief funds. Those are stimulus funds 1, 2, and 3 that were issued beginning in, say, 2024. Dissipate or go away in the form of ESSER 3 in September of 2024.
I think this is simply the same way. And the last thing I noticed that we had a slide there with where we were in terms of districts, in terms of test scores. Do we have that in terms of salaries for our staff?
That's a great question. Yeah, to see how we compare how our salary picture and our salary schedules look. We are working with, say, the education to compare around the region, because we know it is pending.
Okay, thank you. Dr. McConnell, in your presentation, I didn't see any mention of the early childhood center that we have, and having that program there, has that helped our K-1, 2, and 3 test scores in terms of reading and math and things like that? But I didn't see anything on there about what that actual program is doing for our testing scores for our children.
Yes, we do. We have a very phenomenal early learning and with our kindergarten. But what we found is that our pre-K families, once they leave the early learning center, they opt to attend other institutions. With our families and being very transparent with our families so that they will feel rest assured that if they continue with Normandy, they will still quality education that they are at their early learning center.
That's a getting the kids ready for another school. So their test scores are a lot better. Do we have any foreign languages that we are offering at the high school?
We have Spanish, yes. We have Spanish.
Okay. In terms of communication, this is my last one. In terms of communication, that might entice parents who maybe can't make it to central office to kind of come to some of the meetings. I think that might be helpful. So that's just a suggestion. No need to respond to that. So thank you.
Actually, I do want to respond to that real quickly. So, we had an administration building at Lucas. We have not been able to utilize our workload as much as we like. We didn't have enough work. Crossing. So, what the superintendent has proposed to us is conducive for not only our board usage, the school usage, but also as a community amenity as well. So we're looking at making sure our assets that we have in the community, usage, the school district, but also for the community. So that's something that we're looking at. So I do want to deal with that. Other questions?
Thank you. This is an unfair question. I'm sure you all will let me know. In looking at the numbers for the percent API, I'm seeing Normandy at 55 points, Jennings at 70 point something. What is it, and I'm proud of them, the way that they have improved, but what is it that they are doing that has allowed them to catapult like that, but we can't seem to do that in Normandy? I really want to understand that. Is there something that we replicate there? Because they have the same types of families, the same types of familial challenges that we have in this district. So what's up with that?
One word. We're leaders, and then so it's we don't have the same we have now. We didn't have the same kinds of leaders. the same kind of results. And you have to real.
How long do you think it will take for us to get
I think, and if you look, so the picture, see, and you may see a lot of movement across the spectrum, and it's still a school kind of place, so you may score at 1.2, you still 1.8. Proficient in the advanced spectrum.
last question? Will Desi wait for us to get there?
I think Bessie understands what accreditation means. To make sure districts are getting what they, if that's a, what it takes to be accredited.
Good evening, and thanks for your presentation. I am so glad to see that Rome was not built in a day, so I'm not expecting it to be, instantaneous progress. And I love the blueprint that you guys have presented. As far as the communications that have gone out for this to you, is it open for the entire community to publicize, things that are going on in the community? Also, is it a way that we can get the community? A lot of times we see that the school looks a certain way, and the community sees it, they want to continue to step up and support, as well as the alumni and some of the other key stakeholders in the community. Those are
Second. We probably talked about how beautiful that connector is, kind of gone, so we need to do some sort of work on that, work with the superintendent, try and find some days where we can invite the community. So that's a great. First question about sharing views with the community. One thing I've learned very quickly is that you're kind of like a newspaper in Normandy. A lot of people share information. So we have created a website where is a special community news. So we're starting to get more from the municipalities sending us information. Halloween is good too, so they'll share that information with us. Not also included in the external newsletter, so that
Thank you. Next question.
Before we go to the next question, I can still address. So we're doing something again this year. I'm not sure if it. The committees, one is a student. We created student committees, advisory committees, to where students once a month discuss things in the school. Schools to make it better. We also unfortunately, well, today is probably our largest time at 5. We've had, prior to this one, we had 3 parents. And we get surveys every month. Participation. So we're really, this is my question. parent, advisory. It's made up of community members, families, students, principals.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Norman, the president. I know we have 24 municipalities out there. I'm in the city of Norman. Police chief, thank you for being here. Oh, so, Monica, I'm just, I don't think that's the case. So that's not so these 24 walking here, so I don't think so. So, are they on board? But that's just not me. We had a card run by name today, but too black and white. That's my opinion. You said something about the budget. You showed us I think you call it a savings account. I'm sorry, I don't know the name. So what is preventing us from using some of those funds to get some of these long-term certified? Can they like a scholarship, hardship, council, or something? That needs to happen.
That's all of those positions. And part of the subgroup, the teacher certification.
Because that's one of the check marks with definitely too, right?
Last check.
It's no. Low hanging fruit. I mean, I know we can't get the kids out of the beds or whatever. Graduation rate, where are we with that?
So with graduation last year was we had quite a few seniors who have returned from created an alternative school to make sure that we're assisting those better supporting those students with recruitment those strengths. Seniors who are actually almost done with recruitment those credits and they'll be done. Some will return. But it's just, it's hard when you don't have support to help you. So we can't be so surrogates, if you will. And so we have to make sure that parents are reaching out to us. It hurts me when we have
Absolutely. Well, that's funny that you say that, but that's another point on my list here. Phones and AI. Do we have some kind of rules? I mean, there's no way you all can teach if somebody's always down on the phone.
well, and thank you, because here's the
Take it
problem.
away.
Some parents supporting that behavior. So we have to be on the same team with, that we have policy that supports that. And, for the most it should be a battle that teachers have to fight in the classroom. So,
I always speak passionately about this because I have two sons who went K through 12. Not 10th grade, not just a few grades, from kindergarten through 12. Graduated both salutatorians. This is back in the day. But anyway, they're very successful today. But all I'm saying is Norman has great teachers, and we can do this. The communication, where are the parents? You said that Facebook and the social media platforms are working, but this place should be packed tonight. So, where are they? And when did the communication start? That's my.
so and we say this.
I got it only because I came forward.
You got, so the message, if you got, these folk got it, the message is out there. So to answer your question, I don't know how to answer this.
You can ask.
Mr. Kramer, that things are bad, people really show up, and when things are going better, I say better, than anticipation. So, I don't have an answer to the question, but we're going to definitely work on that. But, so what do we need to do to make sure that we can get other participants in our community involved? So I'm going to go to next, Chief.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, members of the school board, for allowing me to be here this evening. I'm actually Chief Tamika Sanders with the Police Department. I said I'm familiar faces and a little hat. I have more asked this evening. It won't be more than a minute at a time. I actually was sent here on behalf of the citizens of Normandy, and it's my job to come before handle such as yourself with concerns and issues of the community. And they told me when I started this, so here I am. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today to address the pressing concern in our community, which is the surge of juvenile delinquency and criminal activity in the particularly in relation to the middle school students who once benefited from the presence of a school resource officer at the Lucas Crossing Middle School. During my 8-year tenure as a school resource officer, I had the privilege of serving 4 of those years at the Lucas Crossing Elementary School. I can personally attest to the profound impact that such a program can have. Building meaningful connections with our most vulnerable young citizens is not just a duty, it is a privilege and a responsibility that I will cherish for the entirety of my career. The program was reintroduced in 2015 after a nearly 10-year hiatus, and over time, we have now witnessed the transformation of that campus located in the city of Toledo. We knew this transition would bring some different challenges, but we were no less enthusiastic about our role in fostering a safe and compliant environment for the students and staff alike. However, as the new school year approached, we faced an unexpected setback. The law enforcement agreement, or the MOU, required that we have as a police department by state statute remain unsigned for nearly 4 months into the school year. Our attempts to reach an amicable resolution with a representative from the district were met with silence or promises to return the signed contract with days going and the promise was unfulfilled. We were left with no choice but to remove our resource officer from the school campus to comply with the statutory requirements. The absence of Officer graduates, affectionately known as Officer Blanco, by the students and staff is creating a safety hazard because my inbox, my emails, my inundated correspondences from local business owners, from neighboring schools, and concerned residents, and they're all lamenting about the deteriorating state of Natural Bridge corridor. Hours on school nights, sometimes up until midnight. The burden of the police reports, the manpower, and hours that we're spending dealing with unruly juveniles has depleted the resources of my police department and essential services that we have to give to the other communities that we serve. What troubles us the most is that our program has demonstrated tangible, measurable results for years. Also, Bob's quick thinking is what saved his life just this past spring when he was faced with a critical life-threatening condition and left him unresponsive on the football field. Also, graduated administered CPR and received the honorary life-saving award from both the school district and from the Normandy Police Department. This is the impact that we aim to achieve, and a positive one that benefits our young citizens and our community as a whole. I remain convinced that in partnership we can come to the table to identify and address issues that threaten to undermine our long-standing collectively work towards a successful resolution. Today, I implore all of the stakeholders, including the school district and the Normandy Police Department, to come together to resolve this matter swiftly. Our children's safety should always be our top priority. We must reinstate the school resource officer rightfully deserved. Thank you for your time and consideration. Let's join voices to ensure safety and the future success of our community's youth. You are Normandy. We are Normandy. We are Normandy. Thank you.
Thank you. So, actually, that is a very, we're going to get to that question. This is a very important address comprehensively. We're talking about safety and security. So our students, making sure that we have safety and security. We leave our schools. How does safety and security, how is that implemented? That needs to be addressed, right? Because we do whatever we can to put the safety and security within the confines of our district and our building. Who's accountable for that? Two, we invested a lot of time in municipalities, 22 now, so consolidation and efficiency, that we rely to ensure that once students leave the campus, our buildings, that safety and security is still carried out. So, I'm only setting it up because I want you to respond.
Stakeholders tomorrow to address and possibly put some things in place. So stay tuned.
Sure, and that's about the response right now, that we don't have. Because we invest our district, that they're safe and they're secure. But once they leave, guardianship, personal things that wrap around services that we have to rally around to make sure that we're working collaboratively. And we're looking at so I want to make sure we get to that. So hope that there was a question over here, but I want to make sure we get to that. So it's like what I'm trying to convey is that we're working together to ensure that the safety and security of our students is. Right, so that's what I'm conveying. So let's get to this question. There was a question over here, and then we'll get back to you.
And some programs at 9 to 12. We left a big gap as to what's happening with the rest of the schools in between. There was no update on what services they're receiving, the interventions they're receiving, just what are we doing now? Like, we just kind of like feel like we office. So, could you say our middle grades? So, you're going through some rigorous supports for K-3 to support them, ELA, their ELA program. And that we have some 9 to 12 programs that are being implemented at this time. But we didn't address 4, we didn't address 4 through 8 at all. Many of the initiatives that we have currently in place for K through are applicable to grades K through 8. Well, we have implemented an intervention block, that block B, where students are receiving intensive instruction that have been identified through our assessment platform, where students have gaps. So there's instructions those gaps that they make. We are providing professional development to all K through 12 teachers around the curricular resources and being sure that they are able to implement, deliver instruction in keeping with the fidelity that are happening level. We're collaborative teams within the grade data. They analyze the data. They go through what we call a data team process. They determine what misconceptions students have, and then they align instructional strategy to meet those misconceptions to ensure. So many of the initiatives that we have in our early grades we implemented throughout our K through 12 system.
So, okay, so these are strategies that you're saying that you've been using, right?
We're currently using, yes.
So our kids are still falling behind, is what I'm saying. So those strategies have not worked for us at this point.
We're analyzing or assessing the strategies that we have used in the past and building on those strengths, and we are making current adjustments to increase the capacity.
You also said that you sent out a plan to failing students, those students that are a grade level or 2 grade levels below. You sent out a, what did you call it?
It's a reading success plan.
What did that plan entail? Because what I got was a summer school requirement. That's what it looked like.
No, well, it identified that your child was at risk as far as reading, they're below reading, and then it detailed the strategies and it detailed the program that's in place, which would include the intervention block. There are 2 curricula engaged in during that intervention block, so it details.
So the intervention has to school.
It does.
And if that doesn't work, then they're required to go to summer school. There's nothing in between. So there's no tutoring, there's no extra supports going home with the kid, there's no already attached that they can at home, no.
Well, already, yes, already is accessible to our families.
Already,
And it can be done at home as well, yes. It's accessible to our families outside of school hours, yes.
and this question is really, so are we still utilizing ESS?
Currently, yes.
So ESS hasn't been able to do our needs since we started utilizing it.
What's our needs?
Our needs haven't been able to supply subs at the rate that we are. It just seems like we're paying them for subs.
What rate do you think you?
So, when we need subs, do we have to pull from the staff that is actually at the school already? Or is ESS able to put subs in those places? How often is ESS able to actually put subs in those places? With ESS staff or with the staff, with the staff, like,
With all the staff, and with the staff we need to. We have to, we ask. Those school district. Students, are we 100% filled with ESS? So far, so. We're not dependent on this.
When we met at the December meeting that had three parents. First of all, the meetings are going today, like we work just, so, 2:30 meeting, you had 17 responses, and you had 3 that said that they can make a 2:30 meeting. That didn't seem like a good idea to still have a meeting instead of moving the meeting. But we still had a meeting, we had 3 parents. At the meeting, I requested that you look into the rate that SSD is denying our students. Has anybody looked into that?
We're in conversation with SSD around how to provide support to.
Has anybody specifically?
Let me finish the question. respect, okay, please. You want me to, okay? What see our children having, those are the things we address with SSD, okay? So I don't have an SSD policy handbook on how they are governed, but I think things we address.
So no one's looked at the denials. The rate that our children are being denied.
Our children are your children, understand?
I'm sorry?
Our children are your children.
They weren't
Because
your children, so they're
Because
not.
here's the thing, when we talk about denial, what is that? 7 times. What are you asking?
One time, when we look at the students that are being denied, as a, the students that parents or staff have expressed concern with being SSD denied. Have you looked at the denial rate?
Well, there's a process for approval. And you have to understand that criteria. You don't get, so it's going to be approved. There's a criteria.
So, we'll take this last question here, but there's money you have received. If you have additional questions, please complete that card, and we'll get that. Sure that your comments or your questions are addressed. This is the last question of the night, but again, the comment cards, please address those. We want to make sure that we get those comments and those questions, and we will be.
Only a comment as to where is the parental or the parents of these students. Is required of the teachers. I'm a teacher in the high school. In Roman High School. I have yet to have one parent respond to any of my concerns for their students. Do we hold the parents accountable? As someone said, it should be filled with parents. I don't have a child with children are successful young. I'm a teacher in high school. I came back to high school to help out. I'm wondering where they are. What do we do to be accountable for their children? As the superintendent said, a child's phone taken away, but do a parent have any concern? Child being on the phone all day in the classroom while teachers are trying to instruct the students at one time? When do we hold parents accountable?
I know you said that was the last time that I'm a parent. I'm a parent of the Norm, and we come together once a month. We have fails from beyond housing. We are coming. I come. And this is my baby, I can make her come.
So, in fact, I know we have time is limited, but we don't, I promise you, we will have another 2 or 3 more forms. But if you have this card, please, put your comments or questions on this card. We'll make sure we can address this. However, in closing, because I think this is a all the things that we're talking about today we're providing those accommodations for our students and our educators so that they can teach. However, there is a gap that we need to work together. And the resources that we invest. That it takes a partnership with and families. So I'm going to defer to Chris Kramer, who helped us host this tonight, but also as a strategic partner on services and the things that we need as strategic providers, so that we can get our business of educating our students, get into accreditation, and making sure that we can live up to that excellence and beauty that we're so accustomed to or familiar. But there is a gap, there's a limit that we have to solve for, that we need help from our strategic partners to collaborate with. So, Mr. Scrivener, if you would close us out. Cool.
It's clearly a lot of passion in the room, and we're going to get to where we all want to get to, so take this passion. He's have to channel it the right way, and remember, we're all on the same team, and sort of hold each other accountable, and have when I look back at the show, there be a sense of urgency, but this the sense of urgency because our children deserve nothing less than that from us adults. So I have people that works in schools, and I think there's some ways we can get some more parents here. Again, we need them to be engaged, but we also have to respect their lives and the challenges they have day in, day out as well. Find the right space where we hear their voice, hear their concerns, and then again work with leadership in the school districts to ensure that our children have a great success possible. Mr. Roberts said we're going to do this again. We will do it again. We're going to keep again giving information, sharing information collectively. The only way normally is going to not only give us accreditation, achieve excellence is if everybody works together, and it's a great beginning step. So kudos to Mr. Roberts, our triple team. Thank you guys for being here. We'll be in touch with the next forum. Take care. Good night.